Welcome to Foundation Repair Success Secrets, the podcast that's rocking the foundation repair industry. Discover how to boost your leads, raise your profits, and lift your digital presence. Together, let's dig deep and transform your foundation repair business.
So welcome, guys. I have a really special guest here today. This is Connor Bell out of Austin, Texas. This is marking another episode of Foundation Repair Success Secrets. Welcome, Connor.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So foundation freaks and geeks out there, dudes and divas in foundation repair. You guys are probably in a ditch somewhere. You are on a phone. You are heading to an estimate, or you are in the office running your empire or soon to be empire. And we're lucky to have Connor on here where he can give us some insights from our mental, from our spiritual, from our heart, from all kinds of, unique, awesome, beautiful kind of perspectives. So Connor, you want to lay us up real quick and kind of give us a scoop of what you're all about?
Yeah, man. I love the fact that we're speaking to people in foundational repair, just because I'm a very metaphorical man, and I'm sure we'll hit a lot on that today.
You plan on going deep is what you're saying.
You could say that, yeah. But as I have developed in my personal and professional life, it's all been this process, right, of building a foundation for myself. And as I was brought up in a lot of different systems and structures, however, I'm sure like everyone can relate to that, like being brought up into some kind of whether it was a belief system or whether it was an educational system, a political system, whatever it is, we're all brought up in some kind of system. And there are different capacities of which, we were just told what to do, and then where we were just given the opportunity to ask questions and to explore outside of the that structure, right? So for me, I was told for most of my life how to create, like, this is the foundation you need to be successful, right? It was that story. That's the story that I was told. And so I built a professional career persona on that particular foundation. And I feel like throughout my professional career in as a practicing physical therapist assistant clinician, I was in the medical industry, and then I got into the online marketing and sales space, the coaching and consulting space, worked with people in all different industries who were looking to grow and develop their businesses and things that they felt their entire life establishing. I always looked at, okay, cool, people have built amazing things, and what have they built it on? Like, where is this thing going, and the way that they're building it, is it sustainable based on what like? And so the thing that I'm going at is I started to look at, like, I wonder what people's foundations were, because they're the foundation of their business, they're the foundation of their life, their family, their relationships, everything, right? And so I started looking at that myself. I started looking at my own foundations for the first time in my life. Maybe like really when COVID hit. I think that happened with a lot of people with the pandemic. They got conscious and aware of, like, oh, like, what foundation am I sitting on right now in terms of my own values, my own beliefs, things like that. And I started reevaluating it. I was like, is this current foundation, does this sustain the new me that I want to actualize? This new version of myself that I want to evolve into. And that was me going into my own business, launching my own offerings that I feel called to bring to the world. The businesses that I wanted to start, right? The things that I wanted to launch and share and express. So it was a fractured foundation, and it just wasn't going to serve that person that I was growing into. So I had to figure out, like, hey, what is the new foundation? Like, what's the new territory? What's the new territory um that's going to support this new person that I'm growing into, and then laying all the idea, the vision of it. First, you need to start with the vision, right?
Mhm.
And then you can reverse engineer it, reverse scale it, reverse engineer it to, okay, what are the fundamental materials that I need? What are the physics that go into that? Like, what are the nuances of it? So that I think people will do that. They'll just start building something without an idea of what the ultimate vision of it is. Like, this is what architects do really well, right? Architects have a very clear vision, like a big vision of like what they're building. And so therefore they're able to create the foundation that serves that big vision of like whatever the structure is,
And we
right?
should give a quick shout out to structural engineers too. In
Yeah.
this space, the structural engineers are kind of like those architects, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse.
Yeah. Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. And again, sometimes, right, like, things will happen. The natural foundation will shift that we cannot control, and it can affect the more, like, I wouldn't say artificial, but what would you call it?
Yeah, I
The
mean,
thing, the foundation that we establish, right? And then
mhm,
that'll shift, and then we're like, okay, we either have to adapt, or we need to build a whole new structure. Like,
mm,
we either repair it, or we need to build a whole new foundation.
yeah,
So,
go pour some piers into the ground. You can do them concrete. You could drill them in and just
yeah.
kind of support this a classic line in the foundation repair industry where let's say the good guys talk about how you could support the building and ensure that it won't go any deeper. Some of the ones who are maybe a little bit more questionable in how they present things can tell people that perhaps it can lift the building. Now,
Mm.
the problem with lifting the building is you think of, let's say, like a window or a door, and things are kind of off basis. If you try to lift instantaneously, like just by hitting the right pressure, you're going to shift things crazily because it's already like it's kind of gone down over a short amount of time. Even though it may have changed, it looks overnight. The building didn't go immediately, so now you're going to shift it, prop it back right really quickly, which kind of like plays into your world. Is you could take massive action, of course, but like there is also an art with, perhaps in certain cases, subtle action with that grand vision that's aligned with your childhood playfulness.
100%. Yeah, this is the best metaphor, man. Like, I love this profession because there is an element of patience.
Hmm.
There's an element of patience and attention to detail. Because, again, if you don't give it that, uh, the repercussions could be pretty significant. The effects, like. So anyway, that's why I have tremendous respect for people in this industry.
Hmm. It's a
Yeah.
fun industry. They're helping a lot of people. And again, like you're saying, is it relates to the core, like heart, soul, spirit, what have you, that you're obviously very much in alignment with, that we're looking to get the audience further in alignment with, because we
Mhm.
do have those contractors who are, frankly, they're digging ditches in certain cases. They are helping to put these massive piers into the ground, and sometimes they have to lug them. Sometimes they have to ruin someone's yard, and they're going to be really upset. They're already upset that they're spending, in certain cases, tens of thousands of dollars, like literally just to make sure their home doesn't get worse. They're like, my home already looks crazy because it's sagging. and now you're telling me I can't get the sag fixed because it could make more of a problem. We're just going to keep it from sagging further. So it's a whole thing. But yeah, tell me, you obviously have a lot of sales wisdom. You went from the aspect of being someone who worked on people's bodies as a physical therapist. You really poured your heart and soul into it. Ironically, in your story, it's fascinating, as I've known you over the years, like you harmed your own body to an extent with the arthritic sorts of things because you helped and cared so much about others. At a certain point, you kind of broke that. I'm kind of thinking, in the foundation business, a lot of these owners and salespeople, or, in certain cases, they may allude to them as, um, architects, something of that nature. They use different verbiage down to the contractors. Like, how can they sell themselves? They may not even have to use the word sell themselves, but how can they buy into the fact that, yes, they're approaching people that typically can't use insurance for these projects? It can be a lot of money out of their pocket. It could sometimes feel like, oh man, like this whole thing, it just feels icky. But from your perspective, you could probably get them to relate to the childhood playfulness. Like, how cool is it that we're like doing all this fun stuff in the dirt? How cool is it that this person has a problem that I know I can help with? Almost like you're playing doctor when you're a kid. You're like helping the other kid by playing doctor. Or as the owner, you have a whole team of people who, sometimes they may come from a rough background. Sometimes they come in the office filled with dirt. I've been in the offices, I've seen that, and the owner's like, "Get out of here! I told you guys you can't be coming in here with those boots." How can you relay that childness and that spirituality to the foundation business?
It's a great question. It's a great question. And my answer to that is always, again, it comes down to the relationship of why am I showing up in this way? Like it's coming back, it's always coming back to that. Um, because it's so easy to just again to just wake up and go through the motions and be like have the story of, okay, like once I make X amount of sales, or like when the company finally hits these numbers,
Mhm.
like then we'll feel this sense of fulfillment or accomplishment or achievement. And not to say that those feelings don't have any value. Those things are amazing. I think they feel awesome, right? But like, how can you just choose to feel that every single day in the minute process, right? And so it all starts with again. I think the whole reason why we're doing this is to experience more connection in some way, right? Um, and so it's asking yourself, like, whenever I'm approaching this, whenever I'm going out, I'm hitting the pavement and I'm going to do estimations, or I'm going to like make people aware of these things. That so number one, I mean, if I were someone going out and doing that, it would be like, oh wow, well, these things obviously aren't serving this family. It's not safe for them. Or if they had fixed this, like what possibilities could this family experience? I know it depends on like residential, commercial, or whatever.
Sure.
But it's like just tapping into the emotion of it. Like what do like by me serving this person in this way, uh, how is that going to create more connection and community in their everyday lives with their family and the people that they get to invite over, who feel more safe to now come to their home, or um and same in the workplace, like
Mhm.
how can I how can we incorporate uh how can we incorporate more just irony and more like um more play and more um and for me, like, because I again, for me, I don't know what that looks like in those particular office spaces. Maybe you can give some light on that.
Sure.
But it's first starts with just acknowledging and then asking the questions and exploring it together. Perhaps you call in a team like specifically with that intention, and you'd be like, "Hey guys, let's set like some intentional time for like us to have maybe like a group workout, thing, or maybe like starting a intramural sports team, or just having like a meetup where we're not just exploring and talking about what we do, at work and the foundation space, or come together and be like, come back to the macro vision of like, what does your service, what is the impact? Like some people, we get detached or we get dissociated from the impact we're actually having on people's lives,
Right.
the work that we do. And so it's just like bringing awareness back to that on a consistent basis. And number one, that creates cohesiveness, camaraderie with the team, and you just show up in a whole different frame. It's the shift from me to we, right? If I'm selling, I am not. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with how I get to improve this person's life, and then in turn, I mean, there's always a level of like ego and selfishness. It's not like we're like down. We're not counting that out. That's always a thing. I selfishly, I selfishly, by helping someone, with my clients, I selfishly get to experience like um their happiness and their joy. Whenever they break through whatever they're looking to break through, or so it's so we still can honor that. But it's just coming back to making it less about like we can spend so much in our head about getting the outcome and meeting our own needs and making money. But what happens when, ego aside, you're just there for that person to fully serve them because you know how it's going to better their lives. If you're feeling like the offness, it may be because your focus is more on like, oh, how is this going to affect me, as opposed to how is this going to impact the other person.
Right. Just being the conduit, so to speak. If you're owning the company, being the conduit from your current and potential new customers to your team having food on the table. If you are the estimator, the salesperson, what have you, the architect, so to speak, being able to provide the great value that your company has to the end consumer, right? You're just kind of the in between. And then lastly, for the contractor boots on the ground, being able to ensure that the good work that you and such or your other fellow contractors boots on the ground can do can be of value to that customer who is getting their property taken care of. So I love it. I have been, man, foundation repair is fascinating. I've seen some great companies. I've seen some terrible ones. Very interesting that it's almost like the foundation, right? There, you think of a pyramid almost. The foundation has to be able to support the other layers. I'm telling you, in the foundation industry, I'm not trying to do Illuminati type stuff. Probably more like this, but it's almost like an inverse pyramid where
Yeah.
there's a select number of salespeople, estimators, whatever you want to call it, and they are supporting so many people on top of them that are the contractors. So you can go to many foundation companies that are middle to large sized, and frankly, there might be 10 salespeople, men and women, and shout out to everything in between these days, or above those gender orientations, divas, dudes, all that, extra stuff too. It's 2023, almost 2024. So, really being able to see that they're the inverse pyramid. And it's funny because like you're in foundation where that this is so core. I'm not saying that you need more salespeople always, but like, boy, the pressure and understanding that those select few people are really fueling the whole other thing. So if you don't have your own foundation repair company taking care of, because guess what? There's only one owner. You could say it's a family or something of that nature, but there's typically the head leader. And instead of the business being like this with a solid foundation as the pyramid, I've seen it many times, behind the scenes. that it's more like this. And you, as the owner, you may not be right with your own foundation. With your sales team, they may not be right with their own foundation. And then you do have, typically a lot of contractors that are doing the boots on the ground work. Boy, oh my gosh, I've seen salespeople fight with the the contractors. I've seen it the other way around, because a salesperson will do something maybe not the right way, and then the actual boots on the ground, the contractors, are talking to the customer saying, I'm so sorry, like, I have to charge you more money amongst this crazy thing you've already dealt with through this whole problem, with your foundation getting repaired. I also have to charge you an extra $2,000 because my sales guy, he's kind of an idiot. I'm not supposed to tell you that. Like, our company's great, but he's an idiot. He didn't see this the right way. I see this day in, day out. I know you need to do it a different way. And it's very hard to eat that as a consumer. You feel betrayed. So yeah, that foundation, just something, as we're imparting, you're obviously very much into the holistic view of this business. Really, really try to focus on your own foundation being strong, because I know so many of you guys are like this. And whether it's the owner, the sales team, or even in certain instances, the contractor, you guys really have to look out, as Connor's kind of talking about, the deeper depth of your own foundation, so you can then best represent this company and this industry. That frankly is a great industry. But it also can sometimes feel like you're the cancer doctor, and you could view that one of two ways. Someone's coming to you and you're saying, yep, you got it. You have cancer. I'm sorry. You've been healthy the last 50 years. And now this thing came up out of nowhere. And in certain instances, insurance may not cover it. It's expensive. It's not something you want to deal with. But hey, guess what? We're here, like, with our full heart, with our full intention to take care of this problem and remedy it the right way. The first go around, I'm not going to have to see you back here for more treatment. We're going to handle it. In this business, the salespeople or the architects can sometimes just be in it for commission, and they'll say, hey, let's go through 4 weeks of radiation or chemo. They are kind of that cancer doctor. And someone says, great, that sounds more affordable than the other guys. That sounds like a shorter period of time. Unfortunately, that doctor is just trying to buy their next Porsche, or go on their next trip to Lake Como. And, the realist or best foundationally set up foundation repair company should be really uttering the words of, hey, it is $2,000 more. It's going to be the 8 weeks of chemotherapy, but I'll never see you again. And that's the best thing for both of us. So anyway, to round off the podcast, Connor, please, any other insights that you feel are good or beneficial for the audience here in foundation repair?
Yeah, like you said, it could be seen as the cancer treatment, right? But what is your intention behind it, right? And it all starts, like, any industry, doesn't matter what you're in, what industry you're in, it all comes down to trust and connection, and not just interpersonally, but also intrapersonally with yourself. It starts with the trust and connection with yourself. They feel that, and like, energy doesn't lie, right? And so know where you're coming from, right? Be present with these people, know why you're there with them. Um, and they won't just be like looking for the cheapest price. They'll feel safe and empowered to go through that process of that treatment with you, right? Because you know that you're going to see them through it, and you're going to hold their hand throughout it, and they're going to feel taken care of. And then again, they're going to know you're genuine. Like, it's just, you can smell that, man. It's just, people can feel it. It's undeniable. So first find out what that is within yourself, and then it'll be easy to do it with others when you're out in the field.
Yeah, it's truly a best value business, not necessarily best price, not necessarily the quickest solution. Of course, if you can commingle those things, that does help equate a good value. But yeah, there are a lot of companies in this foundation repair industry that deservedly have a good or bad name. And as you and I have kind of identified, working from the core and expressing outward, like with us on the marketing end, by all means, we can work with a company who only has 15 Google reviews. But what would be better is if you integrally did the right thing. Perhaps maybe you'd have more reviews, or we can utilize the fact that if we team up, getting you more leads, more estimates, more opportunities, you guys can rapidly grow because you're doing the right thing. And we're the extra juice, the extra steroids to get you recovering quicker so you can put more reps in. So I love that, man. Yeah.
How does it serve the collective? How is it a win-win-win for like the trinity of the transaction? And if those aren't clear as to how it's going to serve, yes, it's going to serve you in one way. Awesome. How it's going to serve them, but then also the collective, so that people will like it. If it serves all three parties, all three parts of that trinity, parts of the equation, it's going to thrive. It's going to. But if it becomes one-dimensional, then the collective won't see it as valuable, and then it's just going to die, right? It's like if you think of it like an ecosystem, like a forest, like a thriving forest or a rich garden. Every single plant in that has a particular role, and it feeds to the collective ecosystem and its ability to thrive, right? And so identify what those are in your company, and connect to how, even as just a contractor, like connect to what those things are. And it'll become way more fluent. You'll wake up every day like super pumped and energized. It won't feel like you're forcing anything. So connect to that collective intention and you'll crush it.
Cool. Yeah, love it, man. Any way that people can follow you or get involved with you? Obviously, again, you do help people like in the foundation repair industry as well as others, so they can get their foundation taken care of, or maybe just understood. They may not have an understanding of what their true foundation is. How can people get with Connor?
Yeah. I have a community. I have a lot of free resources. The biggest thing for me is helping people who are skilled professionals and they're experts in their industry, but they're looking to integrate again more of that creativity and more of those things that they may have like just alienated. Bring all that into what you do most of the day, so that you ultimately feel more alive than ever every single day. That's the goal, and that's the ethos that my company is about, and the community that I've created. So you can get plugged into that. You can visit me on at Connor Bell _LYV live.
What's your OnlyFans, real quick? Just want to make sure I get that.
It's just that.
Just that. All right. What was it again? Just to double check, because I got
at Connor Bell CONNORBELL _LYV. So Connor Bell _live or www.liveaccelerator.com.
Okay, sweet. Love it. All right. Well, everyone, hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you got to this point, and perhaps give us a subscription, reach out to Connor, get that foundation right. And hope you guys enjoyed another episode of Foundation Repair Success Secrets. Adios. Sayonara.
Thanks for joining us today for another revealing episode of Foundation Repair Success Secrets. Don't forget to subscribe so you can keep discovering the tools, tactics, and techniques to ensure your online presence is as solid as the foundations you repair. Keep digging deep, and we'll see you in the next episode.